Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And Blizzard has dropped another round of class balance tuning with regards to the Midnight Beta, and I think it's going to be very important. We're hitting a critical impasse as far as which specializations are going to be viable and competitive and which ones might begin to fall off. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So they've got an important note here at the top for this update. In Midnight, player health was increased to help address the pace of incoming damage and healing. As a result, hybrid spec healing became less effective than intended. We are taking a pass at the hybrid specs to increase the effectiveness of their healing spells so they are more useful both in and out of combat. So this is something that's important for people who like playing double DPS in PvP. This is important for people who like being like an emergency healer in dungeons, like a little backup help, and maybe your healer went down and you can carry the tank for a couple of seconds. Those type of scenarios. I'm interested to see because I felt like the hybrid healing was some specs it was very low, so we'll have to see what specs they looked at exactly. For Death Knights though, for Frost on Rider's Apocalypse, Trollbane's Obliterate will now correctly become Frost when consuming a killing machine with one-handed weapons. So they're just updating that so you can use one-handers. Unholy Necromancer's Cunning Explosion damage is being increased by 100%. Virulent Plague is being increased by 15%. Clawing Shadows now reduces the damage of each subsequent chain of Scourge Strike by 20% though, down from 25. Super Strain now causes Dread Plague to deal 75% of its damage to a nearby enemy, up from 50. So a little bit of dot damage buff, a little bit of pad sustain for Unholy right here. And they didn't counteract any of it in PvP, which I do wonder if there are any PvP changes down below. Because this is obviously going to make DK even stronger than it already was. Devourer's got a giant paragraph. We've been getting feedback that Collapsing Star's resource consumption happening at the start of its cast is too punishing, especially in uncoordinated groups. Yes, completely, because if it doesn't go off and it consumes everything, it's completely useless. We still want proper planning and execution of Collapsing Star to be a meaningful part of maximizing Devourer Demon Hunter's damage. We can't even use it in PvP. I feel like it needs to get like a lot more attention on that side. But in PvE, I think it's also very problematic. But we agree that there is too much tension surrounding an ability that should feel exciting in epics. As such, we're updating Collapsing Star to now only consume its stacks when the cast is completed. We're also adding an internal cooldown to Collapsing Star to prevent edge cases where players may want to cast and cancel the star repeatedly to extend their Void Metamorphosis duration. This cooldown will trigger when Collapsing Star begins its cast. Our goal with this change is to make Collapsing Star more forgiving when canceled due to forced movement or crowd control, while giving us some room to avoid abuse cases. We'll be closely watching the impact of this change and make tweaks if necessary. I think that's good. I think it's good they're aware of this as a problem, because I think across the whole game it is. So it's being updated. It no longer consumes the required souls at the start of the cast. It now has a 5-second cooldown though, and triggers its cooldown at the start of the cast. So if you start it, gets stopped, you can wait 5 seconds and do it again. And Collapsing Star will now also generate 50% less threat. For Boomkin on Keeper of the Grove, they fixed an issue that caused Sylvan Beckoning's Dryad to cast incorrect, more powerful version of Starfall than intended. Oh no, is this why my Starfall build was so good? Now it's going to suck? Fixed an issue for Durability of Nature, causing the tooltip to display a value of 50% for the amount it increases health trends when it's actually 100%. So it's a tooltip fix there, nothing major other than little tiny Starfall damage reduction. For Wild Stalker on Druid, Blood Seeker Vines grow at an increased rate when multiple targets are afflicted by your bleeds. Okay, so Wild Stalker buffs. Rampancy causes bursting growths to have a 30% chance to trigger up from 20. Potent Custodian increases bleed damage by 8% up from 6. Fixed an issue that caused Patient Custodian to not increase Blood Seeker Vine damage. So a lot of big buff there on Wild Stalker Feral. I think Feral needed a little bit of help, so that's nice. For Balanced Druid, they're nerfing Meteorites, so less AoE damage. They're buffing Goldrinn, so more damage on Star Surge. Denizen of the Dream's getting increased by 40%. I'm honestly surprised to see these buffs. They must not have been doing well in Mythic Plus. Solar Bolt, that's a big one. Your Apex talent, and Lunar Bolt got increased by 40 and 20%. Wrath and Starfire are getting 20% increases. I like these changes. These changes are cooking. 6% across the board. They buffed Wild Growth and Rejuve. You probably have to buff them by a lot more than that for them to really matter. I kind of like Rejuve sort of making a comeback and adding some healing, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough. For Feral Druid, they definitely don't need to buff Regrowth or Frenzy though, so this is good that they didn't buff those. Feral fixed an issue that caused unseen attacks to often fail to find a target when not fighting dummies. So unseen attacks is actually going to work. Focused Frenzy increases the damage of Feral Frenzy by 20% down from 40. Oh no, Feral, you're not only buffs here, a little bit of nerfs here. Feral Frenzy coming down a lot. Cat Form Swipe, though, is getting a 20% buff. All damage is getting 8% buff. And your Wild Growth and Rejuve are getting 100% increases. Again, one of the major downsides of Feral and Boomkin is having to shapeshift out of form. Now, in the past, they added like the Feral Cat human thing that could cast. But it's like you lose a global and it doesn't do a huge amount of healing. So I don't really see a Feral using Rejuve instead of Regrowth, because they can use Regrowth in form with the instant casts. Evokers, Fire Breath, instant and periodic damage should now be consistent at all Empower ranks with all combinations of Fire Breath affecting talents. There's so many bugs I just didn't even know existed in the game. That seems insane. Penist healing is being increased by 60%. For augmentation, Ebonmite can no longer be cancelled. Probably trying to remove some type of like cheesy, like high skill cap play from it. Ebonmite extension range now matches Ebonmite's application range. Sense Power now dynamically updates its duration if a cooldown is extended. So just making this more streamlined and easy. Sense Power and Prescience have been updated to correctly detect all major throughput cooldowns and will no longer activate on tank or healer specs. So just focusing on trying to make Aug maybe more viable and streamlined. They buffed Verdant Embrace and Emerald Blossom by 50% respectively. Devastation got a 50% healing buff on Verdant Embrace as well as Emerald Blossom. For Beast Mastery Hunters, they fixed an issue that caused Bestial Wrath granted to your nature's ally animal companion to trigger Bestial Wrath effects and procs an additional time. Maybe that's why BM Hunters were so good, and maybe now they're bad. I don't know. But I do think Stampede is contributing most of the damage from the hero talent tree for Pack Leader at the moment, but this might have some big implications. Frost Mage, Icicle Visual now automatically hides and reappears based on whether you're in combat or not. Fixed an issue that caused all water elemental glyphs to not be properly applied to the water elementals. So nothing really for Mage, just visual stuff. Windwalker, got a big update for Windwalkers. They didn't forget you guys this time around. This round of updates is targeting a few underperforming and overperforming talents, increasing Windwalker's AoE damage, tweaking Rising Sun Kick's damage and contribution to single target versus Fists of Fury, and adjusting its chi economy in a few ways to be a smoother experience. So Fist is a 10% nerf, Rising Sun Kick's a 20% buff, Spinning Crane Kick's a 50% buff, Jade Stomp's a 25% buff, Flurry of Zwen's a 40% buff, Airborne Rhythm now generates 1 chi down from 2. However, Rushing Wind Kick no longer has a chi cost. Sunfire Spiral now increases Mastery combo strikes by 40% up from 20. Universal Energy increases magical damage by 8% down from 15. Memory of the Monastery now increases Combo Breaker's effect chance by 75% and increases Tiger Palm's damage by 30%. Communion with the Wind increases the damage of Strike of the Windlord and Whirling Dragon Punch by 20 up from 10. Tiger Eye Brew is being updated. It now only reduces its stacks down to 10 while out of combat in a raid instance, and now grants 10 stacks or reduced stacks down to 10 at encounter start and Mythic Plus start. So just trying to give you more ramp towards encounters. I wonder if that'll apply for PvP arenas as well. And Vivify, I do think Vivify needed a buff, especially in PvP, because it just felt like it did no healing. So some of these hybrid healing was really low, so it's good that this got buffed. Expel Harm also got buffed. I think this is decent overall. So you're just going to be doing... It'll be tough, like... the damage changes, at least in a PvP situation, tough to tell like how much is going to matter. Obviously, PvEers think you're happy whenever they buff AoE. That's always good. If you're like Mythic Plus, if you're in a raid and more single target oriented, maybe it's not a good thing. For Paladin, for our Holy, we've got Light of Dawn healing effect is now capped at 5 targets. However, they're buffing it by 10%. Liberation now causes 12% of Word of Glory and Light of Dawn's healing to be transferred into damage. It's just a little extra damage. Beacon of the Savior now functions with Commanding Light, Beacon of the Lightbringer, and Moment of Compassion. So more synergies for your Apex talent. That's cool. Hammer of Wrath now costs the same amount of mana as Judgment. I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if it was more or less. Hammer and Anvil healing increased by Mastery. Lightbringer healing reduced by 30%. However, they nerfed your Mastery. They buffed Holy Light by 25%. Are you going to actually have to cast? I didn't really like... I don't think they nerfed any of the instant healing. Divine Resonance added to the cooldown manager. Divine Resonance now correctly activates from Holy Bulwark and Sacred Weapons. I feel like this is good overall. I mean, maybe a little less raid healing, but good overall. For Ret, Flash Heal's getting an 85% buff. Word of Glory is getting 100% buff. Haste now correctly reduces the global cooldown after a Templar Strike or Templar Slash. They fixed an issue that caused Empyrean Power to trigger more than intended in AoE scenarios, so a little bit less AoE damage. Fixed an issue that caused Quicken Invocation to reduce the cooldown of Divine Toll by 15 seconds instead of 30. So you got Divine Toll more often and more healing. And just bug fixes, I feel like a little less AoE, but overall pretty good. For Discipline Priest, Atonement is getting nerfed by 5%. Searing Light applies a damage over time effect equal to 20% of penance down from 30, so Disc Priest nerfs. Shadow Fiend Chance increased to 100% up from 40 when you Shadow Word Death, so you're guaranteed to get one. I wonder what the cooldown is on that. Does it only spawn if they're in Shadow Word Death range, though, I guess is the question. Twin Sight Penance no longer applies Atonement to allies. So trying to limit the... you got to manually get Atonement up more. Holy Ray can no longer be chained between multiple penance casts. Shadow Mend Healing, though, has been buffed by 45%. Borrowed Time and Harsh Discipline have swapped locations. Borrowed Time now gives you 5 to 10% haste, up from 4 to 8. Please note this change will be applied as a hotfix, so it might not be immediately data mineable. So more direct healing, less atonement healing is how I read those changes. Shadow got a flash heal buff by 70% and powered shield absorption by 50%, which is nice. I feel like Shadow had pretty low hybrid healing, so that's nice. For Rogue's actually on here too. Okay, what do we got? What's cooking on for Rogue? Fixed an issue for Fatebound that caused Ravenholt Mint's benefit to not be applied or even reduce overall damage. Okay, so the thing literally just didn't do anything. It's going to do something now. Assassination. Fate Intertwined increases the percentage of damage spread by Caustic Spatter by 5% now, down from 10. Oh, we don't like Assassination nerfs. Fatebound coin damage, though, is increased by 10%. For Outlaw, Fate Intertwine's increase to percentage of damage caused by Blade Flurry reduced to 6 from 8. So a little AoE nerf for Outlaw. For Assassination Baseline, though, you get 10% damage increase. That's good. You definitely needed that. Probably need more than that, to be honest. Cost, at least in PvP. I don't know about PvE. But Caustic Spatter causes 15% of your nature damage to hit nearby enemies, down from 35. So I definitely don't like Caustic Spatter. That must be doing a lot of damage at the moment in Mythic Plus. Outlaw also getting a 15% damage buff. Blade Flurry causes your abilities to strike nearby enemies, though, for 25, down from 35. So targeting the AoE on Rogue. Menacing Rush increases Adrenaline Rush's damage bonus to affected spells by 20, though, now, up from 15. Heightened Rush increases Adrenaline Rush's duration by 4 seconds, up from 3. Midnight Season 1 2-step bonus updated the tooltip to more accurately reflect the increase to Blade Rush's damage to your primary target. The displayed number is changed to 15% from 25, though the power has not changed. They fixed an issue in Precise Shots tooltip. The correct damage percent of 20% is now known. A nice little just buff single target, you know, little bit of nerfs to AoE directly, but single target coming up. For Elemental, you're getting a 130% buff on Healing Surge and a 50% buff on Healing Stream and a 50% buff on Earth Shield. These things will likely feel pretty good. Honestly, Shaman's kind of struggling on the damage front too. I don't know if there's going to be PvP changes for them. Enhancement's the same thing. You're getting a Healing Surge buff by the same amount, Healing Stream Totem by the same amount, and Earth Shield healing by the same amount. Hybrids maybe will out-heal pure DPS now. I don't know if anything will die. Well, time will tell. For Affliction, Haunt is going up by 3 seconds to 18 seconds. However, you may only have one of them active at a time. That's good. I was playing Affliction. It's got a lot of like buff maintenance, so I think having Haunt stick around a little bit longer is very nice. For Demonology, they fixed an issue where Grand Warlock, Alithis, and Lady Sacrilash would not continually attack enemies. So a little bit more damage proc there. Destruction Apex talent, the rank 4 has been updated. Casting Chaos Bolt, Shadowburn, or Rain of Fire evokes an Echo of the Dark Titans at 50%, 50%, or 60% effectiveness, respectively. If no target is found, a random target suffering from Wither or Immolate will be selected. I have no idea to tell if that is stronger or weaker off of reading that. There's no way to know. I don't know if that's stronger or weaker. For Warrior, for Colossus, we got Colossus Might increases the damage of your next Demolish by 5% down from 10. Oh, Demolish. The scaling of it is going down, but Demolish baseline is getting higher by 33. We want Demolish to feel satisfying to use even at low or no Colossus Might stacks, so we're moving some of the Colossus Might damage into the ability's baseline. Yeah, so I guess if you got like a big pull in a dungeon, but you weren't full stacks, you kind of want to send it. Now you can actually send it. I guess the same would be true in PvP. If you didn't have that perfect moment, but like it feels good to press it right now, you'll get more value out of it. That's probably good overall for your performance. For Arms Warrior, we've got Apex Talent, Master of Warfare. Chance for Slam to be upgraded is increased by roughly 50%, and this gives you Armor Pen, so this is good. Heroic Strike reduces the cooldown of Colossus Smash by 2 seconds, though, now down from 5. So it's going to proc more, but less cooldown reduction. More Armor Pen uptime, less cooldown reduction. Master Tactician now increases Tactician time to trigger by 5%, down from 10. And Battle Lord now reduces the rage cost of your next Heroic Strike by 33. So they're trying to make Heroic Strike a little bit more in rotation. I wish the visual was better on it if it's actually going to be spammed a lot more frequently. For Fury, Midnight, 4-set bonus. Rampage reduces the cooldown of Odin's Fury by 2.5 up from 1. So a little bit of a buff here for Odin's Fury. So overall, some damage changes to check out across the board here in a lot of classes. A lot of the ones that needed it. Some hybrid healing to also kind of experiment and interact with. But overall, I don't think like a huge pass. They didn't target any of the big like one-shotting abilities right now that are currently in PvP, like Surrounding Soul Reaper, for example, or Devour Demon Hunters again. So nothing major on that front. This seems mostly targeted towards Mythic Plus tuning with a little bit of considerations to PvP on this round of updates, and that's basically it. So check out some of these talents, some of these specs getting some upgrades. I'm definitely gonna be logging on the beta as soon as it's up if you want to follow me on my live stream. So thank you guys very much for watching and tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.